Welcome, everyone, to our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. This week's portion is Terumah, and we are at verse 8. In our edition, it is volume 11, verse 8. And let's invite in the Kabbalistic lineage of the Rav and Karen and Michael, Rav Shlag, Rav Brandwein, the Ariya Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tafon, Rav Mazulai, Rav Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk, Rav Kolona Shapira Piasetsna, the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, and all the students, Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl, One Soul with Yosef Tzadik in Shechem. Wherever we are in the world, we have the ability to connect to go beyond physicality and connect to the upper realm, the level of Bina, the reservoir of fulfillment. And so we want to have a consciousness of connecting to all that fulfillment that is in a realm of potential that hasn't manifested. And so that in that context, we want to manifest energy of ending the war in Israel, of the safe return of all the hostages, of protection from all the innocents that are in harm's way. Let's also connect to the energy of Ahavat Chinam, unconditional love, treating everyone with human decency, and the energy of healing for everyone who we know needs healing, those impacted by the war who need healing, and also energy of assistance and comfort to those souls who are transitioning. Let's also connect to the energy of protection from evil eye and evil speech, and removing negativity from our realm. Okay, so this week is the portion of Terumah, and literally Terumah is like an offering, a giving. And so in this week's portion, the Creator asks directs Moses to ask the children of Israel to give an offering. There's a lot that we can say about that, but so part of what the energy of this week is sharing. It's like our ability to share, and ideally our ability to share without any agenda. And that's very apropos to the month that we're in, of Adar or Pisces, which is a month where we can connect to joy and happiness for the whole year. This year we have actually, because it's a leap year, we have 2 months, Adar Aleph and Adar Bet. We have 2 months of Pisces, so it's really a full 60 days to connect to that energy available to us in what is a very joyous and positive month. So then you're thinking, well, I'm having challenges. Right. Well, those challenges may be from this lifetime or a prior lifetime. Those challenges need to be addressed so that we can free ourselves up to connect to joy and happiness. And so that's one really effective way of understanding the challenges that are coming to us this month. Okay, verse 8. Amar Rabbi Shimon, Hai Tanenan, Dechad Barakuchabrichu Alma, Galif Begalifoi de Raze Mehemanuta, Go Tirin Berazin Ilain, Begalif Leela Begalif Latata, Bechola Beraza Chada, Beraza de Gilufe, Dishma Kadisha, Yud Dalad Babdalad, the Shalit Ba'at Chobo, Ela Betata, Uverazada Ishtach Lalu Almin, Alma Ila'a Be'alma Tata.
Rabbi Shimon said, we learned that when the Holy One, blessed be He who is Bina, created the world, which is Malchut, He engraved His engravings of the secret of the faith, which is Malchut, into the lights, which are the secret of the supernal beings.
Okay, so that's a lot of information. So let's take a step back, and what the Zohar, what Rabbi Shimon is telling us is that we're going back to the seed level of creation, which is amazing. We're going to literally, in this verse, to the seed level of creation. And as we've discussed, seed level is really important because if we want to affect any kind of change in the world, once the tree is already grown, there's not a lot you can do. If you're dealing at the seed level, we can pick the right spot, make sure it's watered appropriately, make sure it's in the ground with a lot of the appropriate nutrients. Maybe we're putting fertilizer there. You can really impact what kind of tree it is. So dealing with something at the seed level is really important. Now I know you're thinking, well, our world's already been created. So like, what does that mean to connect to the seed level of the world when it's already been around for several thousand years? Well, don't get so caught up in time. That's an illusion. That's part of the illusion of physicality. We can always travel back to the seed level. at a spiritual level. There is no time in the spiritual realm. So seed level is always available. And so Kabbalistically, this is a really important idea because we've done things in our lives I'm sure we're not happy about. Is the die cast on that? I mean, is that just done? Is it like concretized? Is it embedded in stone? No, it's not. We can always go back. And we should go back and visualize doing it in a different way. I may not be able to unwind the consequences of that so easily, but I can always go back and show up in a different way and energetically change what is taking place at a foundational level. And so at a certain level, that's what we have the ability right here to do, is to go back to the seed level and almost like traveling back in time. Well, not almost like, it is traveling back in time. So what does, if we look at this verse, we see, we learned the Holy One, blessed be He, who is Binah, created the world, which is Malchut. So when we see Holy One, blessed be He, we're thinking some guy up there is pulling the strings. What does it mean, who is Binah? And when it says created the world, it's Malchut. Isn't it just the planet Earth? Like, what's going on here? I think the first thing is to think about is the Holy One, blessed be He, who is Binah, created the world. Well, we can't know or understand the concept of the Holy One, blessed be He. When we think of entities, we think of people. The Creator is not a people. So really, no definition of Creator is going to work here. We're limited by our understanding of physicality, by the fact that we are literally overwhelmed by physicality. It's hard for us to connect to our soul. It's hard for us to see a deeper reality. It's all really challenging. So when the Zohar says, in this case, when Rabbi Shlag adds, who is Binah, what Rabbi Shlag is pointing to is an aspect of the Creator. And as we know, we refer to those 10 Sefirot between where the Creator is and where we are as the 10 Sefirot. They're 10 energy consciousness aspects of the Creator which find their way into our realm. Binah is the reservoir of fulfillment. And so that reservoir of fulfillment flows through to our realm. That's another way of looking at creation, which happens every second. It's happening constantly. It's constantly being renourished, our world. We see the world as if it's stagnant, as if it's a picture hanging on the wall, but it's not. It's a constant energy flow into a realm of Malchut. And what's Malchut? A vessel. That's what it is. It's a vessel that gets filled with energy at every second, every moment of our existence. Again, we don't see it that way. We see it as stagnant and stable. But it couldn't exist without the energy of the Creator returning every second, flowing into our realm. And so really what the Creator did was create a realm that has no light of its own. That's Malchut. And all this energy, all this light is constantly pouring in. That's this playground that we find ourselves in, this illusion of a reality. It's just energy flowing into this realm. And modern science will validate that for us. Everything's energy coming from someplace. Where's it coming from? Well, it's coming from Binah. Now, the truth is there are things that go into Binah. There's Chokhmah, but in this case, we're referring to Binah. That's the source of all the energy that finds its way into our realm. And why is that important? Because we take ourselves too seriously. We take life so seriously. We all do. We get so hung up in the little things. And I'm not saying we can ignore physicality. We can't. This is the playground that we have to navigate. and with consequences. But to a certain degree, when we take it too seriously, remember, we're only really perceiving 1%. So we really don't know what's going on. I'm saying this to myself as well as saying it to you. We really don't know what's going on. I know we think we know what's going on, but we don't. It's only 1% of reality. So what this does, by helping us to understand that the source for everything is Binah, is the creator, that creation was this vessel with no light of its own, where light constantly pours into it, we have a sense for this world beyond the 1% that we perceive. And the more we're able to understand that there is a world beyond, the more we're able to connect to our soul, and the more perspective we have on what's actually going on, which is we really don't know. Could be good, could be bad, looks good, looks bad, I don't know. We really don't know. We really don't know. And then the Zohar continues, he engraved his engravings in the secret of faith, which is Malchut. So again, that's somewhat of a difficult language to internalize. What are the engravings? So within our reality of Malchut is the energy of the creator. It's here. We're always looking like, where is God? Where is the creator? Embedded in Malchut. Everywhere. Nothing exists without that light of the creator. And it's not only just the world that we perceive, but it's also into the lights which are the secret of the supernal being. And this is the light within us. Each one of us has a spark of the creator. Maria, do you have a question?
Yeah, it's in the engraving. What I understood here is in the engravings here, is in that the rules, the 10 Commandments.
Right, you mean
the beliefs
those,
that the Creator is giving us.
Those would be logical. What was the last one?
The beliefs that the Creator is giving us, if we believe in Him, right? If we follow Him, then we believe in everything that He's giving us. It's in that the engravings that He's planting in us by us coming, giving us, in this physicality.
Yes,
that's
so
what I'm
like,
reading when I read that sentence.
of course, you're not wrong, because those are also aspects of the light of the creator.
I'm not muted. David?
But I think, yes.
I would add, both because it's a beautiful metaphor, but I think it's something we can all factually connect to, is that if we really think about the engravings it's in all of us, right? It's our DNA. It's in the trees, right? The rings of the trees, right? The things that make up our world.
It's everywhere. So like, to Maria's point, there are things that are written down. And yes, those also are aspects of the light of the creator. But I think to Peter's point, it goes even beyond that. Like, there's this idea that we have all these different names of the creator. We're going to talk about the Yud K Vav K, the Tetragrammaton. But there, our teachers tell us that the actual Torah, which is like, there's 50 portions of it, some portions. That's also a name. All those letters represent a name of the creator, because it's of the creator. Like, that's a name because it's of the creator, just like your name. Like, we look at ourselves as the name that our parents gave us, but our name really is a literal reflection of our soul. So
it's like the saying that the name is nature. So the different names of the creator is the nature of the creator in that aspect.
Yes.
And our names are reflective of our nature.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great way to put it.
Go back to our roots, like you started before, David, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes right down to the spiritual DNA of reality. And
excuse me.
That's important, because there's stuff that's happening to us now. The reason why it's happening is because it's helping us remove the blockages to our source. Yes, Roshan.
Yeah, I seem to remember that Bina is translated in the scheme, the tree of life scheme as understanding. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah. So that we have this repeated realm of trying to understand where we are and what we're actually meant to be doing here is how I take that. I'm
Yeah,
not
well,
sure
that's a very good way to put it. By the way, the Sphira just to the right of Bina is Chokhmah, which is like wisdom. So like these are all expressions of consciousness. Like when you get to the highest of the Sphirot, it's about consciousness. And Da'at, which represents central column between Chokhmah and Bina, Da'at is also like an insight. Like it's all about consciousness. This is why the rabbis always say, consciousness is everything. And this is why the things that challenge us are helping us in so many ways, but among them it's to have some reflection, self-reflection of our mindsets. What am I thinking about that's just not serving me? In what way am I looking at my world and my relationships and my challenges that's not serving me? Probably a lot of ways, which is why we get challenged. The universe challenges us so that we can remove those blockages, so we can remove those limiting mindsets, so that we can connect in a pure, deeper way to our soul, to our seed level. And just like we're like a little microcosm of the world at large. Okay, let's continue.
We were in Malkut,
Yeah,
everything
so
is in the
in
secret.
Malchut. So, yeah,
Pardon?
and way below in Malchut. And then the next word is everything.
Oh, right. Okay. Yud K Vav K that controls by means of its letters above and below, that is in Bina and Malkut, which are the first K and the last K of Yud K Vav K, since both of them are of the same shape, which is K.
Okay,
Right.
so hang on a second. So here we are in the story of creation. We're talking about Binah, the reservoir of fulfillment, and Malchut, the destination, the vessel. And so what Rabbi Shimon is telling us is everything is in the secret of the engraving of the holy name of Kevavke. So, by the way, it's interesting that the word is engraving. We think we talked about this before. The difference between printing and engraving, printing is the ink on the paper, engraving is in the paper. So like the Yud K Vav K is in our reality. It's part of our reality. It's embedded in our reality. Well, that's bizarre, actually, when you think about it, because I just thought it was just some funky name of the creator. It's a lot more than that. And then the Zohar says that controls by means of its letters above and below. So again, it's just not a word, it's just not a collection of letters. It is reality condensed to what we perceive as four letters. It's like a microcosm of reality. That Yud K Vav K is a microcosm of reality. Yes, Rocky.
I had a question, and it's been a burning question about the Yud K Vav K. So the first K is closed when you look at it, and then the last K appears to be open.
Okay, hang on a second.
So it's the Yud and then the hey. When I look at it inside of the reader, it's the first hey is closed. It's like I would say a square, right? And then the last hey is a square open.
I can't see that in my I can't see that right now.
Okay.
in the reader. In the I
Well, if you
can't
ever
see
look, I
that.
just want, I've always wondered about that because I've seen it. When I got it,
Yeah,
when I got
I
it
don't think
printed,
there
they
should.
were
Like,
both
don't
open.
listen. Yeah, I perceive them to be both open, but I'm not. I don't think I've looked
That's
for
what I
that,
was getting
so I
ready to
don't
say.
know.
In some writings, I see them both, and they're both open. And then in some
Right.
letterings, I see them, and one is closed, and the last one is open. The way, and maybe it's not that. Maybe that's not what I'm looking at. But I've always wondered about the lettering, that particular method of it.
I can't answer that, but the Zohar goes on to say that they are both the same.
Right. That's what made me ask you. Because
Actually, Rabbi Schlag says it's the same shape. You know, there are some letters that show up differently when they're at the end of a word. But as far as I
Right.
know, the hey is not one of them.
Okay. Okay.
So let's table that. I can't really answer that one. It's an interesting observation. Maybe
That's why I asked though, because it said here that they were both the same shape. And in some of them,
Yeah.
most of them I see it, but I've seen it a couple of times like that, and it kind of threw me. All
Yeah,
right, thanks.
I hear that.
Thanks.
So what the Zohar is saying is, again, that the Yud Kei Vav Kei is embedded in our reality. It's foundationally part of our reality that controls by means of his letters above and below. What is it? What do you mean controls? I mean, these are the 10 sfirot. This is how the energy is flowing through to our world. And so within the Yud Kei Vav Kei are all 10 sfirot, which we'll see in a second.
Hey, David, when you
Yes.
say embedded in our world, again, I think the idea is if we think about like a DNA strand, I would suggest that it has, its strands. I would suggest it's got certain similarities to and again, this is the 1%, to the tree of life, the intertwine, right? So again, when you say things are embedded in our reality, if we go back and we were able to take, again, the scientific tools we have, and we looked inside the tree, you'd see the same thing, right? That's, to me, the Yud Kei Vav Kei. I'll bet you when we can get more advanced, we'll find true quantum similarities between the Hebrew letters and specifically the Yud Kei Vav Kei and DNA of all, living, things.
I know what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing, of course, but I think we're a long way from that. Because we're comparing apples to oranges in a certain sense. Like I want to look at the tree of life. Like I can't even see the tree of life. I can see a tree, but the life force of the tree is coming through the Yud Kei Vav Kei. And the Yud Kei Vav Kei is just a handy mnemonic, so we can wrap our heads around something. And like one of the things that our teachers have remind us of constantly is like, we're going to see it, I think, we get to it. Don't use your understanding of physicality to try and understand spiritually what's going on. Because it limits. Ultimately, when we use physicality, if I picture the tree of life as a tree, I've just marginalized the tree of life. So like when we pick physical things to represent spiritual concepts, we've limited them. That's why you don't really hear us using the word God so much, because everyone has like understandings attached to the term. Creator is so much more open-ended, but creator only addresses the creative part of the creator. And I don't know what else is there. I mean, we have a hard time connecting to Keter, which is the highest of the 10 sfirot. We lack the ability to see the creator beyond that. And there's very significant aspects of the creator beyond that. But we don't know. So again, it's not quantitative, it's qualitative. It's not physical, it's metaphysical. And we are viewing the world through physicality and trying to also view the spiritual realm through physical means, which is very difficult enough, if not impossible. So, but yes, to your point, yeah, it is at the DNA level. Definitely. Okay. So what does it mean that they're both so that is Bina and Malchut, which is again this story of creation, which are the first K and last K of the Yud K Vav K, since both of them are the same shape, which is K. So it's the significance of this letter K, which has, look, every letter has its own vibrational frequency. Well, how can the same letter have the vibrational frequency of Bina and Malchut? How's that possible? It just said they're the same shape. Do they have the same vibrational frequency? And I really don't know. But apparently they do, but we do know that within each sphira, there's 10 levels. So the final hay is Malchut, and so within Malchut, there's the 10 sphirot. So Bina is there. And within Bina, there's also 10 levels. So there's also a Malchut of Bina. So just like there's a Malchut of Bina, there's a Bina of Malchut. So there is an overlap of vibrational frequencies. But it's somewhat paradoxical, and I would suggest it is a paradox, and therefore, as I heard the Rav say, when you see the paradox, you're closer to the truth. Okay, let's continue.
The worlds were brought to completion by means of this secret, both the superior world, which is Bina, and the lower world, which is Malchut.
And what was the secret? The worlds were brought together to completion by this secret. That this Yud K Vav K, this energy consciousness of those four letters, is embedded within everything. And that's how Bina is brought to completion, and that's how the lower realm of Malchut is brought to completion. That's the secret. Why is it a secret? I mean, we're talking about it. What kind of secret is it that we're talking about? Well, you can explain this to someone, but they're not necessarily going to be able to buy into it. And it's not really, doesn't rise to the level of conventional wisdom. So no one's thinking about it. We are, because we're studying Kabbalah, we're studying the Zohar, and we are trying to bring about an enhanced consciousness for the whole world. Because ultimately, if there's Malchut of Bina and there's Bina of Malchut and there's Yud Kei Vav Kei and everything, then really we're all the same. We've overcome the fragmentation that we encounter. If I know that hurting my friend is going to hurt me, I'm not going to hurt my friend. Verse 9. Alma ila'a ish tachla b'razada at yud nukuda ila'a kadma'a denafka migo desatim v'ganiz dela yedi'a dela kaima leminda dela itida kalal sliku derazada ensof migo stimuda nahir nihiru chad dakik desatim kalil begave kalala dechol noharin v'hal nahirin satim batash beiman dela batash Nahir Bey, Mandala Nahir, Uchudain Apik Chad Nahiru, the EU Iduna li Iduna, Lishtash A liit Ganza, Nihiru Dakik, the Satim Bego, Hahu Nihiru.
The upper world is included in the secret of the letter Yud of Yud Kei Vav Kei, which includes Arakam Pin and Abba and Dima, namely the first upper dot, which is Arakam.
Okay, so hold on a second. This is one of those, well, this is one of these record-breaking sentences. If we keep going, we'll never get back. So the upper world, okay, now, so this is us now connecting to that upper realm. The upper world is included in the secret of the letter Yud. Now, we know the Yud Kei Vav Kei is Chochma, the Yud is Chochma, the first Hey is Bina, then comes the Vav, which is Zeran Pin, the 6 Sfirot of Zeran Pin, and then the last K, the final K, is Malchut. So you add them all up, that's 9 Sfirot. Chochma Bina is 2. Chesed Gvur Tiferet Netzach Hod Yesod is 6, gets plus 2 is 8. and Malchut is the 9. So that's 9. Well, I just told you in the last paragraph that Yud Kei Vav Kei is all 10 Sfirot. So where's Keter? Where is seed level? Where is it? There's only 4 letters that work out to 9. Here's where 4 is actually 9. But where is 9 actually 10? So before we get that, what is the secret of the Yud? It includes Arich Anpin and Abba and Ima, namely the first upper dot. So with the Zohar, which is Arich Anpin. So with the Zohar is telling us, by the way, footnote on this, one of my first teachers 18 years ago I was studying with, and he explained this to me, and I had never studied the Zohar, and presumably he had, because this is exactly what we're talking about. He said the same question. Okay, so here's all the Sfirot and Yud Kei Vav Kei. My mind was blown. He said, well, where is Keter? I'm like, where is Keter? So when you take your pen and you put it in the paper, before the ink comes out to write the Yud, it makes an indentation in the paper. An indent in the paper, the pen, the point of the pen. That's Keter. And that's what the Zohar is saying. The first dot. Go ahead, keep going. Wait, did we get to the end of the, keep going, let's finish the sentence.
Okay. Which is Arich Anpin that emerges from the concealed, the hidden of that which is not known, and is not known at all, and will not be known. It is
Okay, lest there be any confusion, it's not known. Keter is hidden. It's not known. It's not known at all. It's never, meaning there's no part of it that we know and will not be known.
Hey, David.
That's it. Yes.
Does it come up for you? Does it come up for anyone else? So the Yud Kei Vav Kei, and I don't want to sound like blasphemy, the letters, because they only represent 9 of the Sefirot, in some sense, again, because of our physical 1% ability to understand, is defining / potentially limiting the overall. If you think about the Yud Kei Vav Kei in total, they're all there, right? So you take the parts, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and associate it with the corresponding Sefirot. But if you really say, wait, the whole thing, when you contemplate the whole Yud Kei Vav Kei, you're getting all, and you're getting to the seed.
Well, yeah, you definitely could look at it that way, but there's always specifically saying it's the first dot. Like my teacher said, the pen in the paper, that's the hidden part of Yud Kei Vav Kei. But yes, it's there. You just can't see it. It's hidden. But you're not going to know it. It's not going to be known. I mean, the Zohar says, Rabbi Shimon is saying it several times. We also have this concept of Abba and Ima and Arich Anpin. So Abba and Ima essentially are Chochmah and Bina. That's supernal mother and father, which is also included in the first upper dot. What is Arich Anpin? Anybody have any insight into that? We have Zer Anpin, the 6 Sefirot of the Vav. What is Arich Anpin? So it's one of the most high connections we can ever make. And so we're making that right now. It's like we almost have it. Usually when we have to connect to the upper realm and aspects of it, and we're connecting through a whole series. But here, it's almost as if we're connecting to Arich Anpin directly. And let me just say that apparently, it's seed level. So like on the new moon, you have the opportunity to connect to Arich Anpin. And that's where we can ask for anything and should. But one of the things that our teachers have told us is that Aruch HaPin is actually available every day of Pisces. So we have 60. I don't care what's going on in your life. Ask for that fulfillment. We have less than 60 days now because we're already a few days, almost a week in to the first Pisces. But that means we roughly have 53 days left. And what's the secret to asking the universe, connecting to Aruch HaPin? It's certainty above logic. We want to have certainty above logic. I know it seems illogical to ask for things, but we're above that. When we're connecting to Aruch HaPin, we're above that. And we have the opportunity this whole month, and this whole month that stretches into a second month. We have the opportunity to connect to Aruch HaPin and ask for things with certainty beyond logic.
David, two questions then. Is Aruch HaPin then connected to any specific Sifrot? And the second question is, do you know what Arich translates to?
What was the second part?
Do you know what the word Arich translates to?
Ancient.
Ancient.
Unless, no, wait a second. Anpin is ancient. It's defined, I can't get to it right. Oh, wait a second. So it's within Keter, as I understand it.
All right, I can look it up while you're, the first part of the question was.
Look at this, I got it open up here. Aruch HaPin, long face.
Say again?
Long face. That's literally what it means.
Okay, and again, what is it connected then to any Sifrot?
In my understanding, it is an aspect of Keter. So we have that going for us right now too. I mean, so what does it mean to ask for something with certainty beyond logic? It's like, you know what? I would really like that dream job. I would like my dream job. But like, who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? We just limited ourselves. You know, I'd really like that soulmate relationship. But I mean, you know, really? I'm not even sure I'm deserving. Deserving is logic. You are certainly deserving. You came here for that purpose. You know, whether it's things that we're looking for, whether it's healing that we need, whether it's our relationships that we need to enhance, whatever it is, we need to have certainty beyond logic and ask for help. Okay. Keep going.
Excuse me. It ascends by means of the secret of infinity, the parts of Vatik, and from this concealment from Aruch HaPin shines a thin and hidden light, which is supernal, Abba and Ima, that have two aspects of Yesod, a narrow path and two, a concealed way, including in itself the generality of all the lights.
Okay, so again, this is this flow of light from the upper realm. Go ahead.
And in this concealed way, that is in Abba and Ima, one strikes it who did not yet strike before, when it was in supernal Abba and Ima. That which did not illuminate in him now illuminates in him. It then produced one light, which is a delight of delight, namely Chokhmah, Chokhmah, and it is for pleasure and to hide the thin light, which is concealed in that light.
Okay, so you know, a lot of times what the way we understand the flow is like Chokhmah are these rivers that flow into the Binah, which is the reservoir, which flow through Zeir Anpin, the 6 Sefirot directly above Malchut, and then everything emerges from Yesod into our realm. That's our understanding. But again, it sounds so physical. It sounds like you could create a model of that, and that's not helpful because again, that's limiting. So we have a very general description here, although on the other hand, it's very specific. But it can't be that literal. So with that, we're kind of out of time. So as much as we strive to understand our reality, we're limited. There are things that we're not going to understand. But we don't need to fully understand it. We just want to be growing in our consciousness and growing in our ability to rise above logic and growing our ability to have certainty that there is a system. And again, let's not just assume it's there. The system is us channeling miracles into our life. And so the proof's in the pudding. When we see the miracles we've been asking for emerge, we have to self-validate. We got to say, oh my God, this is a miracle. And we should share it where appropriate, because we want that flow of miracles to continue. And in order to continue that flow, our consciousness has to be open to those miracles. So for all of us, our takeaway here is really expanding our consciousness to certainty above logic, to ask for things that of course we don't deserve. We're asking for them anyhow. We don't need to deserve them. That's a limitation right there. For all the fulfillment that we need for ourselves and the world. And let's wrap with that. Shabbat Shalom. Love you all. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Shabbat
Thank you.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thanks.